All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We love that you're able to make it on this Thursday evening, the weekend after a live stream mania. We have Mike Lieber, who is our cinematographer, who's leading this webinar because he's very gracious and kind to me and helping us out. So this is fantastic. We've got wonderful people that are joining us this evening. But before we do that, you know the drill, guys. Move your mouse. Go to the bottom middle of the screen. You're going to see the share screen button, which is that green button. Go to the left of it. Click on it if you would. Open your chat box. Tell me where you're from. I see Patty, Maria. I see Rashti. I always see you there. Very exciting. Thank you guys for joining us. We'd love to have you, Jennifer. Where are you from? Jane, Justin, Christy. It's wonderful to see you guys here. I love it. In Arizona, New Jersey, the Philippines, Alabama, California, West Virginia, San Antonio, Queens, New York. Oh my gosh, that's a rough, being in New York, my cousin is from New York, and she said it was desolate during the pandemic. So
Philippines, got somebody from the Philippines.
it's cool. We've got wonderful presenters with us today. We're going to be talking about underemployed and unemployed Group X instructors surviving and thriving, okay? Because we got to figure it out. They say that 25 to 30% of all the studios and gyms are just going to close and they're never going to reopen. So where do we go? If it's our passion and it's our purpose, it's our passion and purpose to be helping not just fitness. We're all about health and wellness now. Where we're going to go and how we're going to do it. And I have two amazing women with me, just amazing. And Dane Robinson will be joining us. He's a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. He's a Lululemon ambassador. He's a two-time head coach of the year with the Atlanta Steam and the Legends football. He's a wonderful guy. He's joining us because he actually has to teach class tonight. He'll be here just a few minutes. But I'm thrilled to have June Kahn with me, who is actually the godmother of my third son, Zach. And she's been a wonderful friend. She's the recipient of the IDEA Fitness Instructor of the Year Award. She's internationally recognized as a fitness and Pilates leader. She also created the SCW Pilates cert like 3 million years ago, right? And she is a specialist. She's got a Pilates studio, an award-winning studio in Louisville, Colorado. So welcome, June Kahn. And then we have Jacqui Silvas, who is actually a newer presenter for us, who we have thoroughly enjoyed. I feel like we found this gem. I feel so fortunate. She's an international presenter. She's presented at IDEA, Fitness Fest, all over. She's a published author and speaker. She has been in the fitness industry. She started by saying 20 years, then she said 25, then she was like almost 30. She also owned a studio, which she ended up closing in August. So I think, and June currently owns and operates a studio. So I love the vision we're having. Just so you guys know, you are not alone. We have 200 people that have registered for this webinar. We typically have about 30 to 40% show up. So if you feel underemployed, like you're teaching 2 classes a week and you used to teach 6, where are you going to get your revenue? How you're going to keep your passion alive? These ladies have the answer. So Jacqui, I'm going to start with you because I was touched by your story that you had a studio and how you've really evolved to where you are today. Can you give us a little bit of your history?
You got it. So I opened my studio in 2000. I've had 3 different locations, so I get muddled with the actual time. So I think 2015 is when I started. But let's talk about the pandemic. So I've had my studio, everything was going great. March came, a bunch of people had just paid me. We had this great month planned, and the pandemic happened. And Arizona shut down, the whole world shut down, right? And so from there, right away, I could not let these guys down. So I said, okay, I got to do something. So I went on Zoom. It was not ideal at the beginning. I was working from my living room. But people were showing up, they were coming, and I knew that I had to give a quality product. So I did not want to change the quality that I brought to the game. I really, you guys, I hated the living room. It was tough. And I have a nice little living room, but it was like, this is not a studio. It wasn't a studio feel, but the community was amazing. And so I started on Zoom. People kept coming. I began to get people from other states, other parts of Arizona. So that was pretty cool. And what happened was we opened up again. So what I did, I actually stayed on Zoom. So I was mainly 100% on Zoom, and I had instructors in my physical location. And then we closed again, which I felt so bad for the instructors, right? That was horrible. So now they're like, wow, I can't do this again. And I had my lease come up in August. I'm sorry, my lease renewal was coming up in August, and I had to make a decision. And the decision was pretty easy. And I decided not to renew my lease. So I stayed online. I kept the instructors, and they had been with me forever. I owed them. I was passionate for them, and it's tough when all of a sudden you are going back and forth and you don't know what's happening next, and you have this passion to teach. These guys stayed with me and they worked with me. My schedule was not as robust because now the whole dynamics changed, and I had to ensure that everyone had that same quality in their backgrounds, their sound. That was a big issue. That was probably the most challenging thing there.
So for you, you went through the pandemic and it was like this, everybody went through this. We're kind of opening, we're kind of closing. And also, you guys, just so you know, Dane did join us and we keep trying to pop him in and make him a spotlight. So please bear with us. I love this. We've been doing this a year and we've got Zoom down, baby. We've got Zoom down. We've done 6 conferences. And here he's popping in and out. We'll make this happen. But Jacqui, so everybody went through this in March and it kind of sucked. You're opening, you're closing. What am I doing? And then August came around and people, we talk about this pivoting. You did a 180. You're like, I can't do this. I've got to make a decision. And you made this decision. It's very brave to do that. And economically, when you did this, now I'm going to look at a lot of people on the screen, and a lot of us are the instructors. Mm-hmm. So I think about that. I think about how did you had mentioned how you selected the staff that you kept on board?
Well, first of all, some people elected not to do it because they didn't feel like they had the means to do that with regard to equipment and just the things that, facilitates a class. So the ones that did, we tested. I had to make sure, I had to really feel comfortable that the people on the other end could hear them, hear the music, have that same ambiance that we had in class. I didn't want to lose that. And so we just went through a process to make sure that we both felt happy and comfortable. And it was very simple because we wanted to be there. Everyone wanted to be there and they wanted to stay employed. And so I did lose some people that really worked with me, and I also gained some.
Right. So, and June, we were talking about this. You, mm-hmm. being in Colorado, you kind of had to close, you had to open, and you actually worked with a neighboring yoga studio, you said, that really kept you going.
Yeah, so there's a yoga studio around the corner. And we both, were forced to close because she actually stayed closed a lot longer than I did. But what I did is she'd come in and she would do some meditation work for me, and then I would do some bar stuff for her. So we were able to help one another when, we both needed some way to get the word out that we were still offering programs online. So then she started doing hybrid. I couldn't do hybrid. It didn't work well with my studio because the model just didn't work. I'm a Pilates studio, so we're small and we have equipment. So the hybrid doesn't work for me because someone has to have a reformer. But she would do hybrid, and it was such a great thing to do because what it did for us is it opened up more exposure to the entire community. And we're a small community. We're downtown Louisville. It's a small, little, adorable little community that everyone supports local business. And we became part of the Support Local Business campaign. So from a business standpoint, it helped us. From an instructor standpoint, it was difficult at the time we closed because we didn't have enough classes. We did have to furlough some instructors for a while. But then when we went online, especially for me, I refused to let any one of my instructors go. I had every single one of them continue to work. I actually paid them more than I was being, I know I'm probably the unusual one, more than that what they got paid, because I wanted them to continue to work. I wanted to have them back when they came back. That was so important to me. So being able to offer classes online and consistently being in contact with the members that I had, we did more. I spent more time doing more email blasts and private Facebook pages to keep the members aware of what was going on so I could keep my community. And those of you instructors that have a community, it's so important to keep that community going, because they're going to be loyal to you. They're going to be so loyal to you as long as you continue feeding them with information that they need. So I kept soliciting them, surveying. What do you like? What do you want? What do you don't want? What can you do? Those kind of things, and also in an effort to keep people to continue coming back to the classes consistently on a regular basis. So it worked. I mean, we survived. We didn't open up, by the way, until June. We were closed from March 17th until June, but we jumped on to Zoom classes. I would say by March 17th, we closed. By March 22nd, we were online on Zoom, and I didn't even know what Zoom was before. So I did.
Nobody knew.
knew. And
Nobody
Sarah,
knew what Zoom was.
exactly. And I had 5 people. I have 5 reformers in my studio, but I went from 5 people on a reformer to having 15 people in a class. I mean, that's a big difference, so we were able to service more people because of the Zoom. So I capped it at 15. I didn't want any more than 15, but that's pretty much how we did. But really partnering up with other instructors is a great way to bring more exposure to you, but more importantly, it expands you and what you do to their base of membership. So it gives you the opportunity to gain.
And that is wonderful for a business owner. Like, I'm looking at you 2 ladies and going, rock on, you're a business owner, you're keeping it alive. Independent instructors, we're unemployed, we're underemployed. Get your butt on Zoom.
Exactly.
How do you engage more? How are you guys engaging more to get your people? How would you tell them, Dane? Hi, welcome, Dane. How are you? You're looking mighty sweaty there, big guy. He just finished teaching. That's why he shot on in 5 minutes, because he told us, yes, he wanted to be on this webinar, but he had to teach because he's got, I love it. But how would you tell people, all right, I get it. There's not as many classes. My club isn't open. We've got to limit, the number of people that are able to come. How do we get these people online? How would you tell them to do this?
So, and again, thank you guys for allowing me to be on here and everything. Like, I feel like, again, I'm living the practicality of it, right? Again, I literally just got finished, impacting, a bunch of human beings, about 5 feet away from me. So that being said, how do we get the transition going as far as like what it is? Number one, it starts with, the mindset. I think when the world went upside down about a year ago, mindset is that, I think I heard June talk about it, really is that, she worked really hard to keep her talent. If anything, the amenities and the studio or the club itself, we found out we're kind of secondary. You are the talent. You are the magic. You make it happen in that regard. So number one, it's leaning into that. All right. It's leaning into that and understanding, like, you know what? Hey, what we do is special. What we do and how we get this done is special. But now we take this into the experience. Now, what kind of experience are you driving here consistently? We already talked about community, but then we talked about, hey, I want to make this as easy as possible. People love easy.
I am jumping in because you're the master of motivation here. I got a great question from Linda. And Linda, I hear you, sister. It's like, I never had she says, I never had a community. She worked with a club and she taught at 3 different locations, and she was discouraged from communicating with the members because owners aren't stupid. They don't want their instructors to steal their members. Now, I think that's short-sighted, and I would encourage every owner on here, shame on you, don't do that, because group fitness, personal trainers, we're the front lines. We're your heart and your soul. Okay. They connect with us. They don't know you in the back office running, running your Square machine and stuff like that. They know us. So her question is, how do I find new people to attend my online classes? I know you're chomping at the bit, Dane, because he's got your answers. And specifically, like with Matt Pilates, I mean, June, you're Miss, Pilates girl, and she has a social media account. And how do you use that? And then Laura said the same thing, and Jane said the same thing, and Whitney Chapman, love you, Whitney. Hi, it's never too late. So, Dane, how do they begin this process, get to be known, or reach out to some of their previous clients and pull them in?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to double down with what Sara talked about, is that, shame on those owners that feel like, they're obstructing, their members from connecting with the instructors that they love. But where is go with the people that you already know. You may not have a community of people of like what we call cold leads. There's a community of people that know what you do. They might start off as friends and family. That's okay. That's the path of least resistance. That's the low-hanging fruit. That's where you start because they already know, like, love, and trust you. From there, that's where you start building that community. That's where you start asking, hey, bring in this person. Hey, bring in your husband. Get everybody, together. It starts off, again, if you're starting from square one, just go with the people that that know, like, and love you. And sometimes that's just going to be family and friends, and let that branch out from there. The second part from a social media standpoint is just understand is like you got to show up, number one, all the time. All right. You'll look back in one of some of our webinars with Jessica Maurer talks about just showing up. Just show up on social media and have a conversation. All right. Meaning, hey, busy moms, like we're crunched for time. Kids are on Zoom. House is a mess. Hey, I understand. Hey, I got 30-minute workouts, or I got a 10-minute, tone workout that I would love for you to hop onto. When we make our posts about problem solving and it's a conversation, then we start to gain momentum on the social media side.
I have to say,
I love that. And June, you up, Jacqui, please go ahead.
Because that is what I did every day. From day one, when I went on Zoom in my living room, I got on social media and I said, let's do some challenges. So I had challenges going. Every day I had to show up, and let me tell you, some days I did not want to. Like, oh, I said I was going to do this. I have to follow through. I got on social media, put together a short little clip. Let's do some push-ups. Let's do some squats, some basic things that everybody could jump in on. And all of that interaction and dialogue, it blew me away. People needed it. They wanted that connection. That connection created something bigger. I could not tell you, I should have been doing this before when I had my studio. I was doing it, but not to this extent. I was so deliberate, and I was more, I would say, what's the word? I was more deliberate, but
intentional.
Thank you. I was looking for that word exactly. I was very intentional on connecting to people. And every comment, and there were hundreds, I would respond to every single person and say thank you, and I'd have them post their videos. It was just a constant reach out and connection every single day. I'm not kidding, every day. And I was exhausted going, put on TV, honey. I got to go do a video in the living room. Not kidding. It was seriously intentional, trying to connect to the masses, because on Facebook, you have that maximum of 5,000. I had out that audience, although we don't see 5,000 people. But the point is, when it starts circulating, more people do see you, and it made more connections, more smaller communities. Just so much happens through social media, and it's free.
And June, you were nodding. You didn't stop nodding.
I know, because there's two things to look at here. When I'm seeing in the chat, there are some people that I don't know where to start. And there are people that are not on social media. You have to think about that. There are people that aren't. And if they aren't on social media, I agree with Dane. You just reach out to your immediate, even in your own neighborhood. I mean, I went as far as going outside of my yard and doing stuff outside and getting the neighborhood to know what I was doing. You start as little as that. What about church? I saw someone wrote something on a church group. But I also think you have to take a really good look at who you are, what you do best, and who you are best at teaching too. Because once you can identify that, say you're a young mom, maybe you're an active ager, then if you're on social media, start to do some search on some of the private pages that are out there. And when you go in there, you don't just jump in, because you don't want to be like the person that's going crazy, but just start a discussion. Start a discussion with those individuals and start a little bit, and then you start to get people to know what's going on. Then, as you saw so many people do in the beginning, they were doing free Facebook Lives. I don't know if I would do a whole hour class, but you do little bits and pieces of what you're doing, and you start to build a little bit of notoriety around yourself and what you're doing. It's a lot of work. I tell Jacqui the same thing. I constantly did this in my when I say neighborhood, my business community, because I wanted the people to know what we do, because that was the only thing I had in order to get people the people in the door, or just to come to because I was in the same boat. I didn't have the studio anymore. The studio was closed. I had members that refused to come because I didn't want to do mat classes, because they said, I can't do a mat class. I'm not going to do anything because I want to be on a reformer. So I had to start looking for new people that wanted to do more mat classes than they wanted to do the other. So I was in that same boat. It takes work. There's no question, but you will find your audience as long as you're going to create your community. I think that's the biggest thing. And like Jacqui said, you just keep posting or just reaching out to people. I think it's kind of snowballs after a while. It really does start to snowball.
And one of the biggest questions that we have, people are like, how do I charge? Okay. And how do you get that started? Now, Jacqui, and I'm going to come to you, Dane, in just one second, but Jacqui, you were talking about the different methods. You just use your phone. It's so simple. How are you doing this? How are you collecting money?
So I have three means. So Square is my main thing. I had that when I was in my studio. So Square, right on my phone, I'm going to show you guys, okay? It's a simple app that I can access from my computer, from my phone. And let's see if you guys can see it. How many of you guys out there know what Square is? Anybody? Let's see if I can get that to show up. There it is, that little white and black. And it's a simple touch of a button. So I can send out links. So I do a lot of newsletters and connections through email, through my email list. So I have links through Square. So they can just pay me through the link. And another option is through Zelle or Venmo. So because there's a new audience out there. I didn't realize that. So that was new to me, actually, the Zelle and the Venmo. So I'm all this technology learning, right? On the spot. So I use those as well, because a lot of people, hey, can I Venmo? I was like, sure. So I learned how to accept that, and it's simple. And anyone can do Square. You do pay a percentage. Zelle and Venmo, there is no percentage. It's like getting cash, and it gets directly to your bank account. Zelle is my favorite, instant. And Venmo, I have to go in and hit a button to transfer the money to my account.
And so Venmo, when you receive the money, you don't pay. But the person who's paying, because I pay my beautician through Venmo.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and I end up paying a little small percentage, but I don't care, because it's so easy for me as a consumer. Now, you guys, please pay attention. Jacqui didn't say, oh my God, how did I figure this out? She just did it. You go online, you type in Google, how do I launch Venmo? Look, or you can even do this on YouTube. I love YouTube because it can teach you how to change a battery in your car.
YouTube University.
You know what? You guys were laughing at me. I turned my stove on. Oh, shut up, both of you. I turned my stove on before the webinar, and I went and YouTubed, I'm making beef and broccoli tonight. Oh God, it's terrible. I'm eating red meat, but whatever, it's organic. But it's like we can find everything on YouTube, and it can show you step by step how to do things, and and really make it happen. Now, Dane, you also do a lot of personal training.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know what, Group X people, put a mic on, tell them what to do, take the mic off, tell them what to do. You get more money that way. It's an option. How do you get clients for personal training, and how do you get clients, like how do you have them pay
Sure.
you?
I'll take one quick detour because I felt the passion from June. And when we talk about it here, and even from you, Sara and Jacqui, like again, I keep saying mindset. While we don't act on some of these things is because of the fear of rejection, the fear of like failure, the fear of like confusion and I don't know what I'm doing, and the fear of change. So that's why I preach so much, like we got to get up here right there so that we can now take action. But you have to eliminate that fear. You have to eliminate that the fear of the unknown on the other side and do it. You know, so I wanted to make sure, because I felt June's energy on just hustle. Like, you want your business to grow, like you gotta act. It's not just you show up and then people come. That's not a thing. When I get back into like, when we go from a personal training avenue of it, it's about diversifying your portfolio if you're in finance, right? You got a couple of different stocks everywhere and you kind of rock and roll from there. Same thing in your fitness career, is just making sure that I can do group training, but there's also this big wide world from maybe the community that you have. There's probably about 3 or 4 people that would love to work with you one-on-one, and you charge a higher rate for it because the group is usually sharing the cost of you. That one person is willing to invest that one-on-one time, so they get more of you, so that value goes up and thus the price goes up. Now, as we've gotten into 2020, late 2020, early 2021, there's systems, and now there's businesses, a whole demographic or niche of businesses that are trying to make it easy for the fitness professional, because we were all forced onto Zoom and IG and MailChimp and Venmo and all these different kind of like things that we had to collaborate together. And us as Fit Pros, we don't like tech. We don't like tech. It's kind of confusing. We just want to train. We just want to do the thing. So there's 3 options. I primarily use a platform called recess.tv. But again, I also have compadres or friends and everything like that. I'll give you 3 main sources: recess.tv, onpodio.com, or Spaces by Talent Hack. Those are your 3 main players that essentially eliminate the Zoom and the Stripe and the Venmo and all these different things that are not connected, and just make it one platform. Because like Sara said, the reason why she pays for beautician, because, you know, by Venmo, it's easy. What do your clients want? They want easy. And that's the way they can just go to one place, no Venmo link, and you run your business easy so that you can do what you love to do, and that's change lives.
And Dane, Christy asked, how much do you charge for your one-on-one personal training?
Yeah, so I would say pricing is always subjective depending on what area of the country that you live in. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia's cost of living is a little bit lower. So I tend to charge anywhere between, for a 60-minute session, I do $75 per session. And then again, that's 3 times a week. I go on frequency. If they want to go 8 times, if they want to go 2 times a week, 8 times a month, I drop it down a little bit more. So it goes down, or excuse me, I up it more, excuse me. So $75 for a one-on-one, that's 12 sessions. They want to go 2 times a week, I up that to 80 there because it's less sessions. So they're going to see the value. And if I train more, I'm going to pay a little bit less in that regard. But it all starts from your a la carte price, AKA your drop in. What do you charge for one session? And that kind of dictates your packages, your recurring, I was going to say membership, but your recurring revenue. If you got people kind of like paying monthly, please, if you can, get your people on recurring payments. You need the predictable revenue. Jacqui and June and Sara can all attest and whatnot. Even from my time as a regional manager, it was for a studio business summit. It's about EFT, electronic funds transfer, revenue, consistency. You can achieve that as well as a personal trainer, as a group fitness instructor, by having just monthly subscriptions.
And I want to say something to that too. When you're thinking about doing something like this online, if you're a personal trainer and Group X, I have 3 different price points. So my personal training is set up just like yours with regard to the more sessions, the less they pay. And I want people to be in more sessions because I can affect change that way. And I always communicate that, which is why it's lower, because I'm encouraging them to stick with me. And then I have what you call group classes. So I have private group classes. So that allows a group of friends to train with me at a lower price, but for me, it's 3 days designated to them. It's 3 days minimum, where it's a group rate basically. So they're paying less and they're working as one whole. Does that make sense? And then I have my group classes, which I try to keep that very affordable, because really from a standpoint of business, I get a lot of people in my personal training from the group side. So you personal trainers out there, I suggest that you absolutely merge group fitness into your life, because that is where you're going to get a pool of people for your business. So that's just working smart, and also allowing more people to get your energy and to go out into the world and spread what we do and create more communities like this.
And,
So
and it's interesting. We just got a question from Ruby who she says, I'm receiving lots of notifications via email from specialized exclusive gyms looking to hire personal trainers to work at brick and mortar spaces. And she lives in Silicon Valley, the San Francisco Bay Area. We do a conference in San Francisco. I think Ruby's been to our conferences. What are your thoughts on this? Now, this is interesting. What's happened a lot, at least this happened in Australia, is when they reopened the gyms, a lot of the trainers and the group fitness instructors had found other jobs because the studios and the gyms were closed. So there was actually a shortage of high quality instructors and trainers. And so I think that's why they might be looking. And you know what? Give them a chance, Ruby. I mean, get your resume together, get a little 1-minute video on who you are and how you train, get them to know you. And this is something you could submit to people. June, what are things that you're doing to expand your Pilates studio? Like, I know you said you kept your employed and you're also doing group classes, but I assume that the studio is open now?
The studio's open, but I have found that during this pandemic, you have to create areas of auxiliary income to come in to help support pandemics like this. Hopefully this will be the last one for a while. So I have created, we're in the process of, it hasn't launched yet, an on-demand service for our studios, so that therefore I have now not just classes that are live, not classes, and also Zoom. Now we'll have an on-demand service that's going, and it's going to go beyond the Pilates work, so that we can do all different types of classes and offer that. It's almost like giving my members another studio, so to speak, so they can do this at their own leisure when they want. And that has become very helpful in that regard, in terms of being able to sell another membership. So that will be a separate membership, a less expensive one, albeit it's going to be probably, if anything, it'll probably be $18 a month for on-demand service. So that gives my members the opportunity to, when they go out of town, they have something to do. And that's going to be I think it's going to be a great asset for us. I really think it's going to be really good. I also looked at expanding my clothing line, the revenue line that we could sell online. I also expanded, we even went nutrition way. I did things that I didn't do before that I was forced to do because I need to bring revenue in, and brought my instructors in on this as well. So they were able to benefit from that as well. So anything that I can do, keep going. My brain never stops. I feel like, and it's not bad, this is not a negative thing. I feel like I have 7 jobs. I feel like my husband's head spins all the time. He goes, "What are you doing today? What are you working on?" I'm working on 7 different things, but it's what we do to stay alive, And I also think that if things don't go the way it's supposed to be, I'm so grateful to see the vaccinations. I got my vaccination on Monday. Yes. Right? But yay. But I still think there has to be other options for people, that we have to have options for ourselves to make sure that we are able to take care of ourselves as well as take care of others. And instructors out there, if you haven't gone online yet, you need to get online. I think that it's not like, oh, is this just going to be for a while? No, this is where the industry is going to go. We have to do both. We have to be able to offer both of these. So you have to jump in, just like Dane said, and I said, got to get your feet wet. We have Sara, her organization, SCW, has so many sources for you, resource sources for you to be able to educate yourself in areas of where you may feel you need more work. That's what the pandemic has given to all of us. If it's given us the opportunity to grow and to learn. I've never taken more educational seminars in my entire career. And Sara, how long have I been in this? You and I've been in this since the 1980s. It's crazy. And let's still keep. You have to keep reinventing yourself. You do. I find I have to keep reinventing myself, reinvent the wheel all the time. And I'm going to go back to community. It's about my community. I'm still teaching some of the same people I've been teaching for 20 years. They've stuck with me. And it's because of them that my studio, or I want to say my studio, let's just say my membership base in general
Just kept
has
it
stemmed
going.
from. It's all
Yeah.
word of mouth. It's
I
definitely
have
word
to
of mouth.
let, Jacqui is going to jump through the screen if we don't let her talk. So please.
It's just because she's so right on. And I'm going, yep, yep, yep. I actually had started, my friend Jennifer, she's probably on the call here. We have an online business. So it's called Powered.online. And we created that. So I have people in my studio and my personal training clients on Powered. So they're paying me for my membership. And she's on there. Hey, Jennifer. But
Jennifer.
you guys, literally, it was actually timing, but also it was multiple created because we have a passion for what we do. But the timing of it was just crazy because we actually launched on February 14th, right in the middle of this pandemic. So our rates are low. We still have low rates. And that's exactly, it's on demand. It's a personalized fitness program that offers nutrition, that offers mind body. We have mind body on there because of the pandemic. We have these videos to ease people's minds, giving them opportunities or suggestions and different ways to navigate in this new environment. And it just could have been perfect timing. But the point is, what I was going, yes, yes, yes. We cannot, to be successful as a studio owner, or let's say a membership owner or a membership holder, membership community person, you have to have more than one way to navigate. You can't just say, I'm going to offer this one thing and feel as if you're going to continue to grow. You have to keep moving with the times. You have to keep moving outside of your comfort zone. Because I tell you what, we had to create 200 videos in the middle of all of this mess. We had to create, it was just a lot. It was a lot of stepping out of my comfort zone. And, you know, Dane touched on that. Mindset is everything. We've got to get out of, my big thing as an educator, my big word is fearless. And fearless does not mean that you're not going to feel that anxiety. It means that you need to just step out anyway. You're starting from ground zero. What can happen? What if you succeed? Think about that. Change your mindset to say, I'm just going to go for it. Just jump. That is my motto. I had to get Jennifer to jump because I'm like, I went to Dubai in December and I said, Jennifer, I found the perfect people to do our thing, to get this extra thing that we want to do. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, wait, nope, let's just jump and go for it. What can happen?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, you guys, trying something new is key.
It is.
SCW, for the first time, instead of always doing our manias where it's everything, one-stop shop, we decided to do a personal training conference. I was shocked. We got over 250 people that attended. We have an active aging summit that's at the end of March, and I'll tell you why. Personal training is a great revenue source, and active agers have money. We love millennials. I love them. Trust me, I gave birth to 4 of them. All right. 3 of them you can have. I'll keep 1. No, but but who's paying for it? All right. So get those active agers. It's a great revenue stream, and there's a lot to learn in that area. Dane, where have you developed your sweet spot?
I'm going to first acknowledge Jacqui in June. I'm going to try to be, I thought I had a lot of energy because but you feel the passion, y'all. If you can't feel that jumping through your screen right now, something wrong with you. But that sweet spot, really where I'm talking about is just, again, going back to where you have a diversified portfolio. That's where, if you're kind of hearing the passion, but you're kind of hearing the common denominator between Jacqui and June, is that, again, they have multiple streams. They have multiple avenues to create revenue. And just because, again, it's like music to my ears when I hear, June, when talking about from a business side, from a studio side and whatnot, ancillary revenue, recurring packages, like, all these different things. Guys, it's the same thing for you as an individual. It's the same thing. So where I found my sweet spot in, if I'm going to talk about my portfolio, is coaching classes online, individually. It's being able to, I also work on a higher platform. We'll talk about it, I guess, there. I work for a company called Daily Burn up in New York City there. So in line with like Mirror and Peloton and everything. So I have that opportunity. I have my clients one-on-one that, again, I'm in Georgia, so I get a chance to do this, in real life with them. But again, you see me in the studio right now. I also work in the side of a brick and mortar. So I have my portfolio diversified so that just in case the world goes upside down, one more time, that if the lights turn out in here and whatnot, I can always pull myself out of the brick and mortar, or the brick and mortar is forced to close again. I have my virtual. If somehow the internet goes dark for a while, I can always have an opportunity to do it in real life. So that's where, again, hopefully I answered the question okay, as far as like where I found my sweet spot in is making sure that my portfolio of how I'm training and how I'm just working, my quote unquote, my magic, as far as how I impact lives in the way of my own unique training method, is that I'm just doing it in multiple spaces, and I control where those spaces are, because I'm also in control of my time in that regard. But that's where I feel like everything, the basketball is spinning on the finger pretty well.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead, Jacqui, please.
All right. Dane said, if the internet went dark. So now let's think about that, because that has been our main source. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, now we have TikTok, and I'm on TikTok. Unbelievable. But yeah, right? I'm old, just so you know. But listen, guys.
He's old. I'm
ancient. As you're building your community, staying in touch is so important, but definitely have their personal information, because if we go dark, you have to have a means to communicate. So don't forget that. That's just a little side note. That was
and it's not a side note, Jacqui. That's brilliant, because the reality is, and I'm going to let you in on this, guys, you're not going to make money off of social media. It's just not going to happen. Everybody's nodding. You just don't. You're going to build your community. I get it. But you need to do things. It's called clickbait, which means write an article of the top 5 exercises to lift your gluteals, okay? Or the top 10 exercises to burn fat, or the top 8 ways to keep your mood and your energy level up. Something where then, well, gosh, I want to find that out. I'll go to the website, I'll fill out my information. Here's my name, here's my email. And then I download a little article, and make sure you have it in a blog. And if you can't write it, trust me, your students, all you gotta do is put it, I always say, just put it out there. Somebody, you wish it, it'll come. Somebody will write your article. I started, June, you're gonna love this. You know who's doing our most successful fasting lectures at Livestream Mania and wrote our most well-read article? Sam. You pilfer your own children. That's my motto, okay? My oldest is getting his PhD in bioinformatics. He's studying RNA virus research. He's actually looking at the next pandemic. Isn't that not a little worrisome? But he studies nutrition, and he's writing great stuff. So I'm like, the next clickbait article we're going to do is, if you've ever, what do you want to know about fasting? So it's really cool. You guys have resources. You have so much knowledge that you can do this, put this out there on social media, and definitely do this. My God, I can't believe it. We have 2 more minutes. Dane, how did this happen?
Because we always do this. We just kind of capitalize on what the other person has said. But again, if you're watching this and time has flown by, like it usually does, we could talk about this for another 3 hours if we wanted to. Here are the common things that all 4 of us are talking about. We're saying the same things in our own unique ways, but hopefully you have a list of notes there. And it's about, again, action. Get out of your head. Like, stop. Don't worry about the feel of failure, the feel of rejection. You want to build your business, you've got to put yourself out there and be willing to hear no more times than you hear yes. You might be willing to hear crickets before you hear that first yes. Just get in your mindset, guys.
Yes, I love that. I love that word of wisdom. Jacqui, what is your word of wisdom?
I just have to segue on that. That word no. That's what people are afraid of. That's what they identify their self-worth through that no, but that's not you. That's that person. So don't put that on yourself. Accept no and move on. And then, after a while, you get some yeses. And you're going to celebrate, and you just keep going. Right, June? We know this.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add, believe in you. Yes. Really believe in yourself. Take the jump. Like Jacqui said before, jump. I think fear is probably the biggest reason why so many people, and Dane said this before, they don't do it. Just do it. It's like Nike said, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? To me, it's not failure, it's learning something. I think I learn more from all the mistakes I've made in my life, and it's allowed me to move forward because of that. So don't be afraid of a no. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. Go for it. Just go for it. I really believe we have enough resources in our organization to allow you to all be successful. Just need to just take that step and just go for it. And you'll
All
never
right.
look back.
Absolutely. I'm gonna end this with a wonderful video on our upcoming conference this March 21st through 20th and 21st. Wonderful. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you like live stream. I can't say live, but live stream in March. And oh my gosh, we're going live in October. October, Midwest Mania in Chicago. November, Dallas Mania. We moved it from August to November. And then Boston in December. We're going to go live, get your vaccines. Stay connected, and thank you for joining us for our webinars, and thank you, Mike, for making this happen. Dane, June, Jacqui, always a pleasure. Thank you all for joining us.